Hey guys, Andrew from McNasty Customz with our KRX 1000 upper door installation video. Very simple to do this. You're going to receive an outer door and an inner door panel for each side, passenger and driver. You're going to see it has two bolts holding this inner panel on. It's going to come to you just like this, and it's very simple of what to do. So the very first thing we're going to do here is we are going to take a tape measure. And we are going to measure from the very end of the door, the back of the door. The tape measure should clip onto it. You're going to measure 5 inches. So we are exactly 5 inches, and we put a piece of blue tape. That'll give us an idea of where the back of the door should start. And then that forward will give us the proper gap. So you take your door, it's very easy, and you just sit it on top. The door stays right where it needs to stay, pretty much on its own. Now that you have this piece of blue tape here, you just line up the back of the door till it's just touching the blue tape. That is more or less going to give you your front door gap. That's the only thing that's important on this, is the front door gap. This way we make sure we're not touching our plastic. Now, we already clearanced ours and made sure it fit, but if you guys want to, take some blue tape and also put the blue tape over your plastic. This way, if the door's not clearanced exactly perfectly, it won't scratch your plastic. You know, open the door very slowly, you'll see it's touching the tape, and you stop. But you should be perfectly fine as long as you go with the 5 inches in the back here. Very simply, all you have to do is take one hand. Once you have this door sitting in place, make sure you're lined up at the 5-inch line. Take your hand, put it on the inside of the panel, and push it against the door. It's going to kind of cock the door back a little bit. See it? Cocks the door back a little bit. And if you can, in the back corner, hold it nice and tight, you can open the door and close the door. And I'm trying to not be in the way with the camera here. So you can do it with this hand. You can open and close the door. You come over to this angle here, and you just make sure the door's open and closing without touching any of your plastic. Very simple. You just want to, that's it. That's just, you want to get that clearance, and then you're all set. That's it for getting an idea of where this thing's got to go. Now we're going to start the actual installation. Okay guys, very simple to install these doors. You're going to take the door and you're going to simply drop it on top of the door where it needs to be. We already know that this line is exactly where we want the door, the back of the door. We already opened and closed it, made sure our clearances were good, so we already know where we are. You're going to take one hand onto the door, you're going to push the door down and in so it touches the plastic, and we're going to put our self-tapper, one of the self-tappers that come with the kit. We're going to take one of those and we're going to put it right here in the back of the door. So like I said, I'm going to push down and in. So this is flat. It's going to kind of tilt the door in a little bit. So just kind of hold your self-tapper in place where you want it. Make sure you're lined up at the 5-inch mark in the back. Push the door. You can see that I'm moving the door. See the door's only moving a little bit? You take it. So this will be flat on the top of the door at your 5-inch mark line. And simply put your self-tapper in. When you put the self-tapper in, it's going to bend the door in. That's what you want. So that's our first mark. Now our second mark, not second mark, our second bolt is going to go into this front hole. Very simple. So let me move the camera real quick just so you can see. Okay guys, now that we have the first bolt in the door, we are going to put our second self-tapper in the very front hole. Let me show you up close exactly how to line this up. So you can see that the very outside of the door right here, the upper door is on the very edge of the factory door. So I can run my finger right across. You can see exactly where it is. So all you do at this point is take your self-tapper, however you're going to put it in, screw gun and so on, and you simply set it into place. Don't go too crazy because it's just a plastic door. Now we're sitting pretty much where we want to be. We are going to move on to the third self-tapper, which will be right here in this hole. That's it. Now we have 3 self-tappers. At this point, what you want to do is you want to take a drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit. See that? And we are going to drill these 2 holes very lightly. You're just going to drill into the door. It's plastic. Just a little bit and let it pop in. You don't want to put all kinds of pressure and try to drill through the outside shell. Very simple. Just pull the trigger slowly and put some pressure. See how fast that's through? That's it. Just pull, push, and it will just drive itself in. That's 2. Now, come back and remove this lower self-tapper and drill that hole. That's it. Boom. Okay guys, once we have these 3 bolt holes drilled with our 1/4" drill bit, we can now remove this upper plate. Very lightly, just remove the bolts. That's it. Now, for the very last hole is right here. You can simply push down on this and mark your hole any kind of way that you want to mark it. You can mark it with a marker, you can mark it with a screwdriver, any way you want. You can take a self-tapper and you can scroll around inside the hole and just mark it. Now, we have a self-tapper in the first hole, a self-tapper in the second hole, and we marked our 3rd hole. We are going to come back, we're going to remove the door, same as we removed our inner panel. So just remove your self-tappers. Wow, you don't want to remove too easy, huh? There you go. And we are going to come back. Now, and very lightly, we are going to drill our holes with our 1/4" drill bit. Just push lightly. That's it. That's how fast it goes right through the plastic. 1, 2, and we have our mark right here from our 3rd hole. That one didn't have a self-tapper hole in it, so it took a hair more to drill it, as you clearly saw. All right, beautiful. Now, on to the next step of taking apart the door panel. Okay guys, now we are going to remove the 5 bolts on the top of the door holding the outer grill shell to the inner grill with a Phillips screwdriver. There's 1. There is 2. The one above the armrest is 3. The one in front of the door handle is 4. And the one in front of your speaker, if you do have a speaker hole anyway, is 5. You want to remove those 5 bolts out of the door. The next thing we're going to do, push pins. There are 3 push pins. You can clearly see this one right here. If you want to use, the easiest way to do this is a push pin tool. Easiest way. You slide the push pin in between the plastic inner section and then poof. There's the outer push pin. There are 3 in the outside of the door. 1, 2, 3. You remove all 3 of those. And there are 2 in the very front of the door, right here. One lower one here, and an upper one right here. Now we have all 5 push pins out. You can remove your piece of tape off the back of your door. You don't need that any longer because now all your holes are drilled and you know right where you got to be. You could take your fingers, and you can see right here, you take your fingers and you can pry the back of this door up right there, just like that. Pop it up, and then you shimmy down the door and pop it. There's 3 clips on the door. You shimmy down, and boom, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Now your door is separated. Now you just move this around. See how much the door separates? So, as you can see, there is a clip right here. There is a clip right here. And there is a clip further down. So let's get a little close up on that just so you can see what's going on inside this door panel. Clip, end clip, and the front clip. 1, 2, 3. Now you can see how far you push this door apart. Very simple. Inside this door is a steel structure. So we'll talk about that later when you're putting your screws back in, to be very careful. You don't need to be crazy. You don't need to do any kind of crazy work, or so on and so on. So now we are going to take our inner plate that goes to our door panel. And it doesn't really matter at this point. We could take the inner plate and bolt it on, or we could take the upper door. I'm sure it's going to be easier for the video if you see me put the upper door on. So that's what we are going to do. Okay guys, now we're going to take this upper door and we are going to install it onto the factory door. So very easily, you just take 3 of the longer, well, they're not longer, we supply longer bolts in this kit. So when you slide them into the doors and you put them onto the outside door, you can actually reach your hands under and have more room to put the nuts and the washers. So you can take 3 of the bolts from the kit that we supply you. 1, 2, 3. And you got to kind of play with this a little bit, but you'll get it in there. You can kind of separate the door a little bit. Let's try to get a little bit better of an angle on this. You can kind of separate the door a little bit, and you can start pushing the bolts into the holes where they belong. There's 1. There's 2. And then if we bend it back, there's 3. So 1, 2, 3. So now you can see that the upper door is sitting in place. You are going to take a washer and a nut, M6 nut, and you are going to start pulling the door apart with your fingers. Spread the two. Spread the two and put the nuts and bolts on. Now take your fingers, spread the 2 door panels apart, take your nut and your washer and come up from the bottom side and start your nut onto your bolt. Okay guys, very simple. We got our 3 bolts in the door. We're going to take 2 wrenches, 10mm apiece, and we are going to snug these up. Really shouldn't be showing you how to do this, or you shouldn't be installing doors, but it's pretty simple. Just snug them up pretty tight. They're plastic. It's like anything else. The nuts will stop when they get tight. So now we have our upper door installed and our bolts tight. What's next, you ask? Hey, forgot about this guy, huh? So here we go. We're going to simply slide the nuts, the bolts that's supplied in the kit, straight through the little bracket, and we are going to install them in the 3 holes that we drilled prior. Same way we installed the upper door, we are going to install this plate. Very simple. Then take your nuts and your washers and bolt them up the same way that you did your upper door. Simply come to the back side, spread the door apart with your fingers. Start with any one that you want to, that you're comfortable. These are much easier to get to. And snug the nut up as tight as you can with your fingers. Okay guys, now that we have our inner plate attached to our inner door with our 3 bolts in tight, we have our outer door attached and bolted down tight. We put our door together with the plastic clips, we clipped it together, and we put our 2 push pins in the outside. This is the most crucial part of the install. So let me move the camera a little bit and show you exactly what we plan on showing you here. Okay, so you're going to take the longer bolt and you are going to put it through the hole, spread these apart, and try to thread it in that way. You just got to make sure that you don't cross thread these. So that one is started. You can make sure the most important thing is not to cross thread them. The front one should go right into place. There we go. Now snug the back one up. They're nut certs. Don't go crazy over tightening them. Now you can see this door is lined up pretty much perfectly. And we are going to step you back. And and we are going to show you the door opening and closing with no issues at all. Okay guys, so now we have all our bolts in our door tight and snug, and our upper door is installed. Come back and put the 5 Phillips head bolts back in the door. Now remember I told you earlier that it had tubing in the inside, and I would explain that later. Only put these in with a screwdriver. Do not put them in with an impact gun. This tubing is extremely thin, and it only has like 1 thread's worth of, holding force. So just put them in until they're snug by hand. Do not use an impact in these. They are not strong. I don't know if anybody's taken apart their door panels, but you'll learn this if you did. And then come back once you put those 5 bolts in by hand and put your other 2 push pins in the lower door in the back and the other push pin in the front, and that's it. You have the upper door installed on one side. Go to the other side. Whichever side you start with, it's the same. Whatever side you go to afterwards is the same again. So just go to whatever side you're going to do and do the same exact steps, the procedure right through. So now let's show you what it looks like to have an opening and closing door on this KRX. So let's take you off the stand. So let's see what it looks like installed. It should be very tight right here, and it should be pretty close to being centered. Same with down here. Very close to being centered. You should have a gap here. It should be nice and tight. And as you open it and close your door, it will completely clear. Okay guys, now that you got your passenger side done, move on to your driver's side. Then you should have the same exact procedure and everything that you just did on the passenger side. Repeat it on the driver's side. Very simple guys. I hope this video helps you install your doors, gets everything taken care of. We have a bunch of other KRX products on there, on for sale. We have master cylinder guard, our front tub connectors, protectors. We have our snorkel plate, so you can remove everything, all your boxes and air boxes and everything, and use our snorkel plate. We have our 3-piece belt guard, our front master guard that we showed you comes with that, and a little KRX symbol on the other side. We have floor plugs. We have rear transmission plates, we have the rear KRX plate, and a few other things. So obviously if you're buying our doors, then you saw a few of our other products. Guys, check us out, McNasty Customz, like and subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel, and we are going to have giveaways real soon. So like and subscribe guys, McNastyCustomz.com.